Have you ever felt completely overwhelmed by life's hardships, like you're surrounded by nothing but thorns? What if the secret to your greatest strength isn't found in comfort, but in those very thorns? This isn't just a story about gardening. It's a profound journey into how one person transformed relentless adversity into a garden of unwavering hope. Get ready to discover the unexpected beauty that blossoms from life's toughest challenges. This is the story of Ethan, a man who felt like he had lost everything. Grief had settled over him like a dense fog, and his world had shrunk to the four walls of his house. Just beyond his window lay a patch of land he once called a garden. Now, it was a perfect mirror of his inner turmoil, a tangled, chaotic mess of thorns, aggressive weeds, and forgotten, withered plants. It was a testament to neglect, a symbol of the despair that had taken root in his life. Every time Ethan looked at it, his heart sank. The plot seemed hostile, a fortress of sharp branches and invasive vines that choked out any sign of life. One afternoon, standing at the edge of this wilderness, frustration boiled over. He grabbed a pair of rusty shears, determined to hack it all down to erase this painful reminder of what used to be. As he reached into a thicket of overgrown roses, a sharp thorn sliced deep into his hand. He recoiled, dropping the shears, overwhelmed by a feeling of complete defeat. The garden, like his life, seemed too painful, too difficult to even touch. He was ready to surrender, to just turn his back on it and let the wild take over for good. But as he nursed his hand, something caught his eye. Tucked deep within the thorny chaos, almost completely hidden, was a single, defiant bloom. It was a tiny, unassuming flower, yet its color was a vibrant splash of life against the backdrop of decay. How had it survived? How had it found the strength to push through this suffocating mess and reach for the sun? In that moment, this tiny sprout of hope became a quiet challenge. If this little flower could find a way to bloom amidst the thorns, maybe, just maybe, he could too. That small discovery shifted something inside Ethan. He decided to start small. He wouldn't try to conquer the whole garden at once. That was too overwhelming. He would focus on 1 square foot. His first task was simple: clear the area around that single, resilient flower. The work was slow and methodical. He pulled weeds, untangled thorny vines, and carefully worked the compacted soil. It wasn't about grand transformation. It was about small, deliberate victories. Clearing that one small patch felt like a monumental achievement. The next day, he cleared another. This simple act of gardening became his daily ritual. Every morning, he would step outside, not with a sense of dread, but with a quiet purpose. The physical effort of pulling, digging, and pruning became a form of meditation. With each weed he pulled, it felt like he was untangling a knot of grief inside him. With each spadeful of earth he turned, it felt like he was aerating his own suffocated spirit. The thorns were still there, and he got his fair share of scratches, but his approach had changed. He learned to work around them, to respect their presence, to understand that they were part of the garden story, just as pain was now part of his. As weeks turned into months, a remarkable transformation began. As Ethan cleared away the overgrowth, he started to unveil hidden beauty. The garden wasn't just weeds and thorns. Beneath it all, there were unique, hardy plants that had survived the neglect. He found heritage roses with an intoxicating fragrance, tough perennials that had been dormant for years, and sprawling herbs he didn't even remember planting. The garden was revealing its secrets, showing him a resilience he never knew it possessed. It wasn't a pristine, perfect garden, but it was vibrant and full of character. He began to see the thorns differently, too. He realized they weren't just a nuisance. They were a form of protection. The thorny branches of the rose bushes had shielded the more delicate plants from being completely overgrown. The spiky thistles, while a pain to remove, had deep roots that broke up the hard, compacted soil. He started to understand that these sharp, difficult parts of the garden played a vital role in its survival. They were a symbol of strength and self-preservation. It was a powerful lesson. The very things that had caused him pain were also instruments of protection and growth. The most profound lesson, however, was the power of patience. A garden doesn't transform overnight, and neither does a person. There were days he felt discouraged, days when the weeds seemed to grow back faster than he could pull them, but he kept showing up. He witnessed the slow, beautiful evolution from a barren patch to a budding oasis. And in watching the garden heal, he began to notice his own healing. The quiet focus, the daily dose of sunlight, the satisfaction of nurturing life back from the brink was all slowly, gently mending him. Soon, Ethan's garden began to catch the attention of his neighbors. People would slow down as they walked past, curious about the burst of color and life that had replaced the neglected plot. An elderly woman from down the street stopped one day to admire his roses. She shared that she hadn't seen them bloom like that in years. Another neighbor, a young father, asked for advice on starting his own small vegetable patch. Ethan found himself not just cultivating plants, but cultivating connections. He started leaving small baskets of produced tomatoes, zucchini, fresh herbs on his neighbors' doorsteps. He'd share cuttings from his hardiest plants, along with the story of how they survived. His personal journey of healing started to ripple outwards, extending hope beyond his fence. The garden became more than just his private sanctuary. It became a source of community, a shared space of inspiration. His story, told through flowers and vegetables, was quietly impacting those around him, reminding them that growth is always possible. Even as the seasons changed and winter approached, the garden remained a testament to resilience. The evergreen shrubs stood firm. The skeletal branches of the roses held a stark beauty against the gray sky, and beneath the soil, bulbs were waiting patiently for spring. The garden was not just surviving, it was thriving, a permanent monument to overcoming hardship. Looking at his work, Ethan reflected on how his perspective had changed. He once saw the thorns as his enemy, a symbol of his pain and failure. Now he saw them as his greatest teachers. They taught him patience, respect, and the true meaning of strength. He realized that profound growth doesn't happen in spite of our challenges. It often happens because of them. The deepest beauty is often found right next to the sharpest edges. This journey taught him that hope is not about waiting for the thorns to disappear. It's about learning to cultivate a garden right in the middle of them. So, I want to leave you with this thought. What are the thorns in your own life? What challenges feel overwhelming right now? Perhaps, like Ethan, the secret to your own resilience and unexpected beauty lies not in avoiding them, but in learning to tend to the garden that grows among them. Find that one small bloom of hope and start there. Thanks for joining us on this journey today. If this story resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that explores the strength of the human spirit. We'll see you next time.